Good morning. I think we can start our meeting this morning. It is 9 o'clock. My name is Phyllis Kabasiak. I'm Deputy Mayor with Parkland County and call the meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order. The meeting is now in session. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Parkland County is continuing our practice of holding virtual meetings and will conduct this meeting using electronic communication under provision of Parkland County's Meeting Procedure Bylaw 2015-06 and Section 199 of the Municipal Government Act. Proceed with today's roll call. I'll ask each member of council by division to indicate your attendance and state your name and division for the record. I'll start with the mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rod Chagas, Parkland County Mayor.
Councillor for Division 1.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Johnson, Councillor Division 1.
Is Councillor Hollins present today? We'll mark Councillor Hollins as absent. Division 5.
Good morning, Madam Chair. It's Councillor John McNabb, Division 5, and hope everybody's well.
Thank you. Division 6.
Good morning, Tracy Melnick, Councillor for Division 6.
Thank you. I'm Councillor for Division 3, Phyllis Kabasiak. So all members of council are present except Councillor Hollins, Division 4. So we'll mark our record accordingly. I'd ask you all to ensure that your microphone is muted unless you are called upon to speak. And the following procedural measures will be followed to ensure our transparency and fairness in our meeting today. Each time a committee member speaks, they will first state their name followed by their division. I will read out each agenda item and ask the Chief Administrative Officer to introduce the matter. Each committee member will be asked to provide comment on the agenda item in order of speaking division. And once each committee member has spoken, I'll ask if anyone has any further comment. Should committee members have further comment, each committee member will be asked again to provide comment and indicate when they finish speaking. And this process will be repeated until there's no further comment, discussion, or debate. And after each item is fully debated, I will ask if any are opposed. If no one, if the motion is carried, I will indicate so, or if it's failed, I will indicate that as well. On today's agenda item are the following, items. Item 4.1, adoption of April 20th, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Item 5.1, public input session at 9:15 a.m. 5.2, today's a day of appointments. And I just wanted to thank staff, Barb Williams and her staff for arranging all these appointments. I know there's always a lot of work in scheduling and making sure timings are fitting. So thank you for all the work doing that. At 5.2 at 9:30, we have an appointment with the RCMP for their annual update. 5.3, 10 o'clock, appointment at with the 100-year agricultural award presentation to the Scheidemann family. Item 5.4 at 10:15 a.m. is an appointment with the Multicultural Heritage Center. 5.5, 10:30 is an appointment with Stony Plain and Parkland Pioneer Museum. 5.6 at 10:45 is the Parkland Turning Point Society. 11 o'clock, we have the Town of Devon Recreation Facility Project update. And also B1, we will do council committee work plan presentation with our staff. Item F.1 is street lighting requests from Moonlight Bay and Wadman Beach. Item 8.1 is the Rural Municipalities of Alberta Contact Newsletter. 8.2 is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities update. Are there any other additions to today's agenda or any other additions or deletions from administration in today's agenda? Ms. Wade.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. No additions or deletions from administration.
Okay, with that, I'll ask for a motion from council to adopt the agenda as presented.
Deputy Mayor Kabasiak, Councillor Tracy Melnick, Division 6. I'll put forward the motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Melnick. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. The next item is the consent agenda. We have items 4.1, 8.1, and 8.2. A motion to accept the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, Councillor Anne-Lisa Jensen, Division 1, and I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any objection? That motion is carried. Okay, with that, we have a 9:15 public input, and I understand Elizabeth Carey and Shelley Gordon are scheduled to speak. Councillor McNabb, Elizabeth Carey, is that the representative with the Moonlight Bay Wadman presentation, the street lighting request?
Yes, it is, Madam Chair.
Okay, were they able to attend at 9:15?
I'm unaware at this time. I don't know if administration can see if she's there or not, but her communication to me was if we could postpone that item till after 10 o'clock, and if council was willing or wishing or able to allow her to speak to that, if she could make it after 10 o'clock. She was struggling to meet the 9:15 schedule. But
Councillor McNabb, just to let you know that she is on, and I
Okay.
also see Shelley Gordon's on.
deal with F1.
Okay, if council is willing, we could move to the comments. These are very important for council to hear, perspectives coming from community members. And we're not entering into dialogue. The purpose of public input is for, and if you have any specific questions, staff will obtain and they probably have contact information, and they will have a communication back and forth. So the two people that are speaking today, Elizabeth Carey with regard to street lighting at Moonlight Bay in the Wadman area, and also Shelley Gordon is speaking, and I know Shelley is involved with the Jakaku Lake Protection Group. So with that, I will ask Elizabeth Carey if she would like to provide her comments. Does administration have any opening comments that you wanted to provide, or can Ms. Carey just make her comments now? Okay. Welcome, Elizabeth. Pleased to see you here this morning, and glad you were able to work your schedule so that you were able to accommodate our agenda this.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of Parkland County. I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm here to actually represent the area of Moonlight Bay and Wabamun Beach. We are really a connected group. We're requesting that street lighting be put in our area to help deter the issues we've been having in our area with criminal activity. To give a little understanding of our area, you need to know that this is a very close-knit community. We hold community get-togethers every year in normal circumstances and care a great deal about our neighborhood. We have a social media page to help keep each other appraised of concerns and what's going on in our area. Many have had their properties for multiple generations and will do what it takes to take care of it. My family has been there since 1953, so I spent my whole life knowing the area. Over the past 14 years or so, in the past six, we have had a massive influx of criminal activity and break-ins that has made life very difficult. We are only a small community of approximately 65 properties, of which most have been broken into repeatedly. 6 years ago, we had Parkland County Enforcement come out and the RCMP, along with Councillor Mr. McNabb, to do a presentation on criminal activity and what we can do to prevent it. As well, to hear our concerns. Every year, the criminal activity has increased exponentially. Most community members have had their properties assessed by Parkland Enforcement, and more properties are looking more like jails with cages on windows, gates, and being installed on properties, and boarding up windows went away. Yet the break-ins are still occurring. Last year, I requested the Parkland Enforcement do a review of our area, and they had two suggestions, one being cameras in the area, and the second being lighting installed throughout Moonlight Bay and Wabamun Beach. They noted that our area is pitch black, and to see anything in our area at all, they need to use high beams and large flashlights, and still very dark. For example, last year at Halloween, I was driving home when my husband called me, and he was in the roadway talking to a neighbor. They saw a gentleman come out of the bushes and was illuminated only because a previous neighbor at the end of a roadway had a streetlight put in. This was done almost 20 years ago. He was not part of the community dressed in black, and he was dressed in black, said he was trick-or-treating. I then called the RCMP, and as I came into our area, I noticed the person with the same description my husband saw walking towards Wabamun Beach. I stopped and called neighbors to be aware and turned their outdoor lights on. I then drove down and saw neighbors sitting on the deck, and I pulled in. I asked if they saw the person, who would have only been 20 feet from where they were sitting. and they had no idea they had walked down the road. Because of these actions that I had done, that I made visible, no one was broken into that night. Now, no one feels safe in the area anymore. Many can no longer get insurance for their properties because of break-ins, and this is not acceptable for any community to feel attacked in this way. We look forward to freezing temperatures that are unsafe for people to be out, and I have anxiety in the area is wild coming into spring because no one was thinking of planting and what looking forward to, but are apprehensive as to who is going to be broken into next. We have become first on the list for being attacked and have stayed in there consistently in the past 6 years. We know Parkland Enforcement and RCMP on a first name basis because of how often we are hit and how often they have to patrol in our area or come to deal with another break-in. If lighting in our area, which RCMP and Parkland Enforcement have both told us will help, then we believe it is in the best of interest of our community and Parkland County to move ahead. This affects the safety and security of the community members, which should be a priority. The criminals are getting bolder all the time. Our children are here and they are breaking into garages where people are there in their homes. 2 of our seniors who are hard of hearing had their properties broken into while homes 3 times each in the past year. One property is now having to put everything into a sea can when they leave and have bars on all the windows and doors. They also can't get insurance anymore for their house. If street lighting can make the difference, as our RCMP and Parkland Enforcement suggest, we believe that we don't have any into our area to do patrols when a deterrent such as lighting could reduce those costs to Parkland mental health. One note that when Parkland Enforcement, Travis Hendrickson, who fabulous enforcement officer, I truly appreciate, did the review of lighting, which I believe you have in your hands. And he made mention that power poles are already in location at those same areas in which street lighting would be installed, which would also help in decreasing the cost of installation. Thank you for your time and listening to our concerns, and I appreciate this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carey. If this, we'll probably be dealing with this item immediately after our public input. We'll have a few minutes, so it's F1 on our agenda. If you just wanted to wait, you can hear the discussion. That likely will be the best bet. So appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the next speaker that we have in public input, Shelley Gordon. If Shelley is ready to speak, we could have her proceed with her comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. Today I'm here representing the Chickaku Water Protection Group. I'll make it brief. This group was formed by our local community after stumbling on a notice of 1,355 cubic meters or 6.4 million liters and see what we can do collaboratively. So I'd just like to say thank you again for the opportunity to come forward to you to raise this concern, and we look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gordon. Appreciate the comments. We've had many comments over the last month, and as a councillor for the area, I have spoken with Ms. Swain about just some clarification of process and to expand on the comments that you have brought to us today, and creating a good understanding of where your group is and how you want to work with the council, the county, and the Carmelites, so in a proactive manner. So thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, and look forward to talking to you again. Thank you. Thanks very much. With that, we can move to our agenda F1. We can move to the street lighting Moonlight Bay agenda item. Ms. Swain, if you'd like to introduce that item, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jody Hancock, Director of Engineering Services, has joined us to present the street lighting request for Moonlight Bay and Wobbly Beach, and he is prepared to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swain. Through the chair to the committee of the whole, appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Of course, this is the street lighting request for Moonlight Bay and Wobbly Beach. The proposed motion in front of committee of the whole today is that administration be directed to review the request for street lighting in the Moonlight Bay and Wobbly Beach subdivisions and bring a report to the May 25, 2021 council meeting outlining the financial impacts and the cost sharing responsibilities of the request. Administration supports this motion. The purpose of it is that the property owners, as you've heard this morning, in the Moonlight Bay and Wabamun Beach subdivisions have requested that street lightings be installed under policy CEN-016, which is attached to this agenda item. It states that all street lighting requests shall require the approval of council. This motion today will direct administration to complete the work necessary to bring forward a proper motion to council to consider the approval. So I'll restate, this is not for the approval of street lighting today. This is requesting committee of the whole to direct administration to go do the work so that we can return to council with the necessary information to inform council in making that decision. Also included in the policy statement is under bullet 7 is a comment that says all street lighting requests shall be made in writing to the Director of Engineering Services, which would be me. I've received that via email from Elizabeth Greer that you've heard speak today representing the community. So that part of the policy has been met. That's what's prompted this report today. I won't go through the full report outlining the reasons for it. You've just heard about the property damage and the theft and the concerns of the community, so I won't repeat that for council, but I could be happy to go into detail of what I do know of it. One item that I will identify is that administration's report coming back on May 25 will include a high-level cost estimate to install the streetlights. The summary that we propose would do a breakdown of the capital costs, basically the cost to install, and the operating costs, the cost to operate. All capital costs are assumed to be funded 100% by the area property owners, and all the operating costs would be assumed to be funded 100% by the county. This is in alignment with the county policy on street lighting, CEN 016, bullet 3 and 4 respectively. Property owners will have the opportunity to fund the project either through local improvement and direct financial contribution. And I guess what's not in the report here today is that we don't really have a policy on local improvement for streetlights. We will have to determine how we could bring in a local improvement, which is governed by the MGA. So we don't need a policy in council. But what we will have to lay out for council's consideration is how we would adhere to a local improvement bylaw that council would have to pass in order for that to occur. Administration does not yet know or understand the position of the community when it comes to local improvement or direct funding, basically paying for the capital costs. Administration will seek a position in this regard from the area residents that we could try to help inform council by the May 25th date, by the May 25th date. The funding source is expected to have an impact on a decision by the residents to move forward, as well as by council to support the request, and is deemed a critical piece of information. I guess another policy that I should highlight, we would align with policy CES 06, which is the county's dark sky outdoor lighting policy. We would be adhering to that with any kind of streetlight design or installation practices. With that, I'll refer back to Ms. Swain or to the chair for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hancock. Ms. Swain, did you have any other comments that you would like to add?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing else from administration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will ask for a motion to put forward the recommendation, and it happens to be the councillor for the area.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's Councillor John McNabb. And the motion is that the administration be directed to review the request for street lighting in the Moonlight Bay and Wabamun Beach subdivisions and bring a report to the May 25th, 2021 council meeting outlining the financial impacts and the cost sharing responsibilities of the request. And if I could, I'd like to ask a couple questions to administration.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is for Mr. Hancock. When we're going through this policies and ideas of where the capital costs would come from, is there other opportunities to look at in regards to where the funding could be raised? Basically, it's environmental design to deter criminal activities. Is there other funding sources out there that we should possibly look at it's not just an improvement of the area, as you mentioned, but it is specific to the deterrent of criminal activities, and it kind of works into the perspective of improvement of the area, but also deterrent in criminal activities is other funding out there. So when you're looking at that, is there other opportunities for that? And I had another question, but I didn't write it down. But Madam Chair, hopefully I come back to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hancock. If you could respond.
Through the chair to Councillor McNabb. Yeah, we can look at different places for funding. Right now, I'm trying to align the direction to the current policy that's in place for street lighting, as I pointed out in item 3 and 4. I'm also trying to stay in line with the idea behind the local improvement bylaw that we've recently changed for road construction or asphalt overlays. That was a 50-50 cost share policy. Council voted in favor of making that a 100% policy for by the residents. So I'm not trying to blur the line too much here, but there's places that we could go back and determine what kind of grants could apply to this program. I guess I'm seeking input from Committee of the Whole today. Part of why we're trying to push this to Committee of the Whole today versus to Council for a decision is to seek that kind of input and try to understand what Council's position may be or their desire may be with sharing the funding or looking at cost sharing opportunities.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair. If I may, I did remember my other question, and I've received a few emails from residents of the area that I shared with Council. I should be sharing them with you in regards to their concerns and or issues for and or against the idea of street lighting. One of the comments that came forward was perspective of how it's going to be paid for. So if somebody does have that concern and issue, and it's a valid issue. So maybe if it's right, I should be sending those emails off to administration so they could see them and understand the area residents' issues.
Through the chair to Councillor McNabb, if I may, I think what we would do is research some of those ideas and have some better thought around what we can bring back to Council on May 25 as part of the decision. And if we're not able to provide a firm position one way or the other at May 25, we can at least bring a report back for information to seek additional action if that's where we end up on that date.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Thank you. There are a few other comments. Mayor Chagas, then Councillor Melnick. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I see we're 3 minutes away from the RCMP presentation. So I'm not sure if we'll get to this vote. But one of my questions was, and we do have the RCMP heat map on our website, but it shows a fairly broad area. And I do recognize that, crime, incidents of crime have escalated across the county in recent years. And I think part of that is attributed to the economic climate that we see. There's a number of factors that contribute: social issues, drug abuse. It goes on and on. It's well documented. And maybe this will be a question for the RCMP is, do we have other areas? Because I suspect we might see a lot of requests like this. And the policy is very clear on the capital costs of this. It's paid by developers or the benefiting parties. And so I guess one of the things I would be looking for is what is the anticipated energy costs associated with this when that comes before council. I'll leave it there. And as I said, if we don't have, if we call the vote before this, I would like a response from administration, possibly Mr. Cross, if he can provide information comparing the incidents of break-ins and crime in Moonlight Bay and Wadman Beach area here versus other areas in Parkland County. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Keep in mind that what we're looking for with this motion that's on the floor from Councillor McNabb is to bring a report back. And those comments that you're raising certainly could be brought in that report. Councillor Melnick?
Thank you very much. Yeah, my comment, while I support, of course, the deterrent of crime whatsoever, in and around the capital project, we will need to be cautious that a lot of areas will request that street lighting. And then there's the opposing piece where there is some that are requesting the dark sky policy be enforced also too throughout Parkland County. So just keeping both of those things in mind, and I wait for the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, any other questions or comments? My concern as well, we've had other residents come forward asking for security reasons for street lighting. So just keeping in mind that, as the mayor said, there could be a lot of other requests. So I think the report will address those in terms of installation costs. They said the poles are there already, monthly costs, those operational costs, according to policy. So
Madam Chair, if I could as well, in that report, when it comes forward, there are different types of poles that can be used. Some have a longer life cycle than others. So if that can be presented, which lighting poles would be used, what is a life cycle? Because we should be considering life cycle costs as well, and from my perspective. So if that could be included in the report, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
Through the chair, if I may, to Mayor Chagas, what we would be looking at doing is using the existing power poles to see first if we could hang the lights off the existing poles versus putting new poles in. So just food for thought.
Okay, that will be part of the report. I'll call the question. Any opposed to the motion? Hearing none, that motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will move to our item 5.2 on the agenda, which is our appointment and RCMP update. We have Parkland Detachment Inspector Mike Larkin from RCMP Evansburg Detachment, Sergeant Brian Topham, and from Dayton Valley Detachment, Sergeant Aaron Matthews. And I will ask Mr. Cross or Ms. Swain if you could introduce this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So like you said, our 9:30 a.m. appointment is an update from the RCMP. And you've already introduced our guests, so I will just pass it over to the RCMP to begin their presentation. And we just want to thank you very much for coming to our meeting today and speaking with us.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. It's Mike Larkin here from Parkland Detachment, and thank you guys for allowing us to come and present. I know that anytime that you guys want us to present to council, whether it be an overview of what's going on, or if there are specific questions that you have, throughout the time, even between the times where we actually formally meet like this, please send them through David Cross, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. But I don't mind anytime coming and presenting for you. So I'm assuming that you got the handout that I sent to you with the one that has the bunch of green arrows on it. It's titled Stony Plain Provincial Crime Gauge. And
has all the information that was forwarded, so that's good. Thank you.
Okay, and so if you look at, there are 2 pages of statistics after that, which does have a breakdown of specific offenses and smaller offenses. I think that might be Evansburg's or maybe Drayton Valley's presentation. The one that I'm referring to looks like, I don't know if you can see this one, but.
I believe it's the next page following the one that the group was just on. There we go.
There it is. So overall, what this is a comparison of this year to last year. And it's because our stats are collected when they were sent in and when they were completed. What I had was January, February, and March. And so January and February and March of 2020 versus 2021, we're seeing these green arrows are a nice thing to see, because that means that things are going down in terms of each of those individual areas. So persons crime over last year is down 6%. Property crime is down 13%. Other criminal code is down 25%. Total criminal code offenses is down 14%. Break and enters are down 33% over last year. Theft of motor vehicle is down 14%, and theft under 5. There is another kind of breakdown, of the individual stats. And the sheet that I just provided you is nice, but at the same time, it provides a small snapshot of a brief moment here are very unique. And so I would suggest that it's down 6%. I think one of the areas of interest of the county and what people are talking about. And so break and enters over the last, then on the next page, I won't get into these too much, our new reporting lines, which caused a big variance, and 2017 to 2021, an increase of 82%, but just 6% over last year, the first 3 months of the year. So that is concerning, but I mean, considering what's going on in the world, I know that in some areas we've seen a drastic increase, and some other municipalities we've seen it basically stay relatively the same. Another thing that I just wanted to touch on briefly was our annual performance plan, and two of the things that would affect the county the most. I mean, the first one that we have is employee wellness, and that's more of an internal thing. But of course, if you have happy, engaged employees, that means a reflection on our organization to the public, as well as fewer sick days. And so it does benefit the public. But the two ones that directly affect the public are community engagement. And of course, during COVID, community engagement has been somewhat of a struggle. We've had to rethink the way that we do a lot of this stuff, because one of the things that we started before COVID was the rural visits, where each member was assigned that they would need to just at random pick a rural property that they would go out and engage with the public, talk to them. And it could be something as simple as a 30-second conversation if the person, isn't too receptive of them being there, to and again, pre-COVID, sitting down and having a coffee with them and discussing their concerns, or giving them some suggestion of how things can be done better. Then the other one is crime reduction, a huge umbrella that we have. Crime reduction, I think, is on the minds of every Albertan, particularly rural Albertans. That's another one of our priorities. And I can tell you that we do have a crime reduction unit in our detachment, and they work closely with our drug unit. And our drug unit has just had turnover in membership, and we've got some very good people in there again that are doing some very good work. I don't know if you've seen them in the news lately. Actually, I was in the news, but it's not me that's doing the work. It's the members of this detachment. I just get to take the credit for it in the news. So we had a significant drug seizure that, although it was in Stony Plain and Edmonton and Spruce Grove, it certainly does affect Parkland County in the sense that addictions and property crime go hand in hand with drug activity. And so any of that we can knock back will definitely affect the county in a positive way. Some of the other things that we had of significant interest would be the arrest of 3 people at the end of April, breaking into one of the tow yards, that the members responded quickly. We are having some good success with, I'm kind of jumping around here, but there was another drug file in the western area of the county, where a concerned citizen at 3 o'clock in the morning saw suspicious activity and called it in, and the members went and checked it out, and they had a significant drug seizure there as well. So again, we do encourage people to continue calling us with any suspicious activity, because it can result in something that we identify as taking place. Another one that was in the news was a file involving some national security, some threats online, some threats towards public and police, and some explosives and weapons that were seized. That occurred back in February. Of course, for some time we couldn't say anything about it because of the privacy and the security around it. But now a media release has been done to just tell the public a little bit about this, that these threats are real, and if you see anything, to obviously call them in. mid-April, there was a theft in Atchison with a value of about $250,000, and we recovered the property and made an arrest within a few hours. And actually, even yesterday, we had a report of a stolen skid steer, and the members got on it and investigated it immediately. And by day's end, they had a search warrant and a person arrested. This was a little bit about out of Parkland. It was in the Lac St. Anne, but part of the activity had occurred in Parkland County as well. And then the other thing that we've had a significant dealing with, without going into it too much, and obviously if there's any questions about it, I'd be willing to answer that, but the involvement with the Grace Life Church has obviously been a significant portion of our time here this winter. And I just wanted to say that we have worked closely with the CPOs from Parkland, that they, especially on the times where things were heating up and there was a lot of people out there, that they did provide significant support in terms of traffic control and working with our members. So I'd like to thank you for that. And the only other thing is obviously COVID numbers are coming up. We are maintaining service delivery. We had an outbreak in the building back in December, but with the business continuity plan that we had in place, we were able to see no effect on our front line. We do have a couple people isolating right now. A lot of those are mainly due to family members, whether it be their kids in school being identified as close contacts, or other family members where our employees have been identified as close contacts. But it's the number is small right now, and it's manageable. And we do have our front counter open. Of course, there's protocols when you come in, but it's our intention to keep the front counter open and maintain service delivery to the public. So that's essentially my presentation, pending any questions from council.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Dr. Locken. Just I'll open it up to questions of council. And I guess your information about the Mental Health Act and what's happening with COVID is very serious and probably going to have long-term effects in our communities. It's worldwide. It's a crisis, and very, very disturbing to hear those. One of the discussions that we've had with RCMP in the past, and how you're looking at criminal activity, deals with recidivism. So you find a small handful of criminals are in fact engaged and responsible, attributable back to many of the incidents. So it appears from your discussion that you've been able to target and get some results out of that work in dealing with recidivism. If you wanted to comment on that. And then Mayor Chagas has a question or a comment.
Sure. Thank you. In terms of recidivism, you're absolutely right that we see the same core group of people repeatedly, and we do our part and send them to court, send them to jail, it's up to the court, obviously, to hold them accountable, not us, but we provide the means to get them there. Again, with COVID being a unique year, we have seen, I would say, an increase of, the people that are back on the street, possibly sooner than we expected, or the difficulty in remanding people into custody in the first place for repeated offenses. But yeah, we do have our target core group. We do have a good awareness of who these people are, who are causing the most harm. We do have an analyst in our detachment who identifies these people, knows their release dates, and depending on the individual and what their crimes are, we may have some extra attention directed their way once they get out. For example, there's one guy that just got out recently who, whenever he's out, we do have an increase in motor vehicle thefts. And it's so predictable because we know exactly what he's going to do. And it's just a matter of where and how many. And it is somewhat frustrating from our standpoint, but again, I can't be critical other systems, but you know, we keep doing our part. We do have targeted enforcement in certain areas and on certain individual detention a lot more than others do.
Thank you, Inspector Larkin. Mayor Chagas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Inspector Loken, good to see you, albeit virtual. I do appreciate the update. And I did want to congratulate you. You had highlighted some of the major cases you had, and certainly the one with the National Security Unit. I'm sure there was a lot of coordination through the detachment as well. So that was a huge.
Assume catalytic converters, which is a huge problem as well. Stoppers that provides people the ability to see activity online, to put pictures and videos online, and to have their neighbors watch out for them. And again, just the last point to that is encouraging people, as a lot of communities have done it, and it's easier in the county, is to get to know your neighbors. You know, a little tougher with COVID to sit down and have a coffee in their house, but obviously, you know, introduce yourself and get to know them and take care of each other and watch out for them. And if you do see suspicious activity, call the police. In terms of your question on mental health, we do have some training on mental health, and we do have specific teams also that we have that can respond to these types of complaints. It's a social worker and an RCMP member. It's called RPAC, Rural Police and Crisis Team. And RPAC has been in existence in varying degrees for quite some time. And I know that in our detachment area, we use them the most. And there were discussions earlier this year to have the actual RPAC team based out of our detachment, because we do have the room and because we do utilize their services a lot. But it looks like that's somewhat on hold right now with some funding from the province. And it doesn't look like it would be taking place anytime soon, but I absolutely see the benefit of having that team based out of here. And I'll keep pushing to have that brought here if my circle of influence has any effect. And then in terms of your question regarding vaccinations, we were, again, a little bit frustrated because, you know, we've been coming to work basically every day since this happened in March of 2020. And they've just identified frontline police officers as being eligible for the vaccine last Friday. So I know that we do have a number of members that have gone and gotten their vaccine, and they've got their first dose at least. So that is, you know, it does take some time for the vaccine to take effect, but at least there is some hope. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. Fingers crossed. We'll see what the variants do, but I mean, we're all kind of in the same boat of, I think regardless of which side you're on, everyone can agree that we're all sick of this and we just want to go back to the way that life used to be. But so we appreciate the public's patience with us and with each other as well. I mean, we just have to take a step back sometimes and remind ourselves that we're in a unique situation and tempers are flaring high, and just take a deep breath.
Okay, thank you, Inspector Larkin. Possibly Mr. Cross would like to respond, and then Councillor Jensen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll let Councillor Jensen ask her question. I just wanted to remind you that we also have Sergeant Brian Topham and Sergeant Aaron Matthews to provide updates from Evansburg and Drayton as well. And just in response to Inspector Larkin and the stats around Moonlight Bay, we'll certainly connect with Inspector Larkin and hope to have that information for council when that item comes back on May 25th. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Jensen, and then we'll move to Sergeant Topham and Sergeant Matthews. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, a lot of what I was going to ask was covered by Mayor Chagas, and I just wanted to thank Inspector Larkin so much for your service during this difficult time, and to all of the officers in the detachment. Certainly my pleasure to serve on the Community Policing Advisory Committee, where we are, you know, have that contact with you as well as other members of the community and the other two municipalities within our region. So it's an effective way to share information directly to the inspector. I just want to give him accolades for how he engages with us so openly and transparently, and certainly for your leadership. And just to, I was curious as well about mental health, so thank you for addressing that. And just a quick question to administration, recognizing time constraints. The Light Catch app And similar, I believe it's the same app that's in the other municipalities that I'm aware of. How are we promoting that app, or are we? And are there plans to do it in the future, just so that residents as a whole know what's out there? It's not something that's readily come across, just, you know, out and about. I think the municipality needs to be sharing information on that. So I'm just curious where we're at with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to and through to Councillor Jensen. I know our enforcement services staff are working on some initiatives. One is how to better support our crime watch groups. And part of that is promoting the app and that access that the RCMP have. I know that our enforcement folks will be coming to our next Community Sustainability Committee meeting to talk about where they're at and to get some feedback from that committee. So I'm sure that will make its way back up to committee or council in the future here as to exactly the activities that we're undertaking around that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, just respecting our time with our appointments this morning, I'm going to ask if from Evansburg, if Sergeant Brian Topham, we have copy of the written report. If you could give highlights of your report, that would be welcome. And also we'll move into Sergeant Matthews, Aaron Matthews' presentation from Drayton Valley. So if you'd like to proceed, Sergeant Topham. Not hearing Sergeant Topham.
Just for, I believe if somebody is on the phone, they have to press *6 to unmute themselves. So that may be our phone call-ins.
Okay, Sergeant Topham, can you unmute yourself? *6. Until that is corrected, I'm going to ask if Sergeant Aaron Matthews from Drayton Valley is available to present highlights of her report to.
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sergeant Matthews. Thank you. Go ahead with highlights of your report. We do have the written document, so highlights would be appreciated so we could respect our time commitment this morning.
Sure. Like I said, I mean, we have a very, very small portion out of Parkland County to the northeast of Drayton Valley. Between this year and as we compare, the same as Inspector Locken, we had 43 calls for service from December 1st till April 26th. In that same time frame from 2019 to 2020, we had 47 calls for service, so pretty much the same. It is a unique year, this last year that we've been down. Property crime seems to be down across the board. However, again, mental health is up. We went from 0 in that time period to 3 just in Parkland County that we cover. Unfortunately, we are not in the position to have access to a rural police and crisis team. I am working hard on that and have been since October, trying to get Drayton Valley set up as a pilot project for the small rural areas. So I'm still ongoing on that one because mental health is increasing exponentially, and we're having, there's a lot of issues with us dealing with that and not having really the proper training. With regards to persons crime, we've also seen an increase in persons crime, specifically more domestic related. And I think that's got to do with the whole COVID thing where everybody is spending way too much time together. And of course, drugs and alcohol are in that issue as well. We have individuals assigned to communities. We do have 2 individuals assigned to the Tomahawk area. They're expected to go out and, yes, sit down or just talk with individuals in the area as well. And it's not just them that are doing any patrols in the area. Everybody's expected to, but they're pretty much assigned so that they can sit down and talk to somebody when this whole COVID thing is over. You could probably have a cup of coffee as well. Our crime reduction or our APP is very similar to Parkland's with the community engagement crime reduction. Our focus is on prolific offenders and illegal drugs and property theft. With COVID, our service delivery does remain the same. We haven't changed too much in regards to that. We're still responding to calls. And with regards to the actual detachment level right now, we still have the staff sergeant vacancy. That should be hopefully resolved sometime within the next couple of months. We just had one corporal transferred, and shortly we're going to have 3 other constables transferring out, as well as one vacancy. And we do have 2 cadets that are coming in May. They graduate May 24th, so we'll see some new faces out and about as well. And they're both very excited to come to Drayton Valley. And yeah, so I think that's my highlights. Is that good?
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate the highlights. Just before we take questions, I'm going to ask if Sergeant Brian Topham, were you able to connect Brian Topham? Press *6 to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead. Welcome, Sergeant Topham.
I lost my rotary dial phone, and so I'm kind of confused.
Okay, we have a copy of your report, and we just have an appointment, was scheduled at 10 o'clock. We'll go into that right away. But if you could give us a high-level report, highlights of your report, we would appreciate that. So please go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just go over it fairly quickly because I think my comments echo pretty much those of Mike Loken and Aaron Matthews down in Drayton Valley. Looking at the sheet in front of you there, that's Evansburg Provincial Crime Gauge. We're seeing a decrease in criminal code offenses of 34% over the last quarter, say January to March this year so far. Largest decrease there is in property crimes, and that can be attributed, I think, basically to we have some of our more prolific offenders currently in jail. And I think with COVID, people are spending a lot more time on the properties and at the residences. So if in fact the place was targeted, these people drive by and see that there's somebody there, or that the place is occupied more often than not. And so then they're opting to go to another jurisdiction, most likely. I echo again, Inspector Loken and Aaron's comments there with regards to mental health calls. We have about a 60% increase here in Evansburg. We went from 2 or 3 to almost 10. And again, as Aaron said, we don't have access to a mental health field group of people. Hopefully Aaron's successful in her venture there, and we get something similar to that out here in the country, because it would certainly be of benefit to everybody out this way. Copper wire still seems to be a big thing. We had some prolific offenders with that we were able to grab before they went to the new Trans Mountain compressor station there at Gainford. We had information that a group of people were going to grab some copper wire rolls over there, and we did in fact identify a couple out of Ontario that had made their way here to our area to engage in their chosen profession. We expect to see a bit of an increase in reported breaking and enters as people start to get into their cottages and whatnot. We tend to see a bit of a spike with people getting out into their summer cottages and homes and realizing that sheds and whatnot have been broken into and property taken. So far, it hasn't happened. Again, with Pembina Park opening up, we expect again to get busy down there every summer. We're busy down there every summer with calls to the water, which we're not equipped to handle, unfortunately, but we do our best. Last year, I think we had someplace between 40 and 50 calls with upwards of 40 or 50 people reported missing. Well, they're not actually missing. They're just didn't listen to the sign and get out of the river when they're supposed to. So we end up tying up huge amounts of resources, fishing those people out of the canyon too, for the most part, are all healthy and whatnot, and or just, didn't pay attention to the rules. Go figure, right? Other than that, we have a new body coming in June. He graduates June 7th, so we have a fellow coming. Our 6th body is still not boots on the ground. There were some training issues, so we're working to get that sorted out so we can get that six funded PPSA guy that we were able to get those boots on the street. That's taken a little bit longer than we wanted to, but we're working towards that goal. So hopefully it happens sometime soon. And that's pretty much it, short of any questions. So far, so good.
Good, thank you very much. Thank you, Sergeant Topham and Sergeant Matthews and Inspector Loken for your comments. Just for your information, Parkland County did have a recent opportunity to discuss issues in our area with the provincial perspective with K Division and RCMP last week. So we appreciate both of those discussions, your discussion and that discussion as well. I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the reports as information. Always valuable and much appreciated. And we do thank you for the good work you're doing, keeping our community safe. Thank you. A motion
Thank
to
you.
accept the reports as information.
Madam Chair, it's Mayor Shagus, and I'll put the motion forward that the RCMP update be received for information as presented. And I do want to thank the 3 members for joining us today to provide those updates. Thank you.
Okay, with that, Councillor McNabb, you have one comment, question?
I do have a comment, Madam Chair, and I'd like to thank the officers for coming in and speaking today. It's interesting, in my last 8 years on council, we still have the same conversation about mental health and trying to improve the mental health type management of the mental health issues through the RCMP. You know, I recognize that it burns up a significant amount of time, and it's not really the true criminals out there, but it's a task, I guess, that the RCMP have to take on. And it's interesting that the resources just aren't there after even 8 years of that same conversation that I've heard, and I'm sure they've been there way before that. So appreciate everything that's been done. Thank you.
Ms. Wayne?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to note that administration will be ensuring that we have advertised the Light Catch app to the public. So we'll be taking a look to make sure it's on our website and then any other means that we can get the word out there for the public. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for that RCMP annual update. Our council is very appreciative. With that, we have a motion on the floor put forward by Mayor Shagus to receive the report as information. Any opposed to that motion? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to our 10 o'clock appointment, and I apologize that we've gone a little bit over. Talking with RCMP is always very interesting and reflective for the work that we do in joint partnership with the RCMP in Parkland County, but thank you. We have an appointment. It's the 100-year Agricultural Award presentation to the Scheidemann family, which is very significant. And Ms. Wayne, if you'd like to introduce that, or Mr. Cross.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to invite our General Manager of Agricultural, Community and Protective Services, Dave Cross, to introduce this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swain. Parkland County's Awards of Excellence program has, of course, been impacted by COVID. Normally, we'd be in person with the award recipients making this presentation, and unfortunately, we need to do this virtually. I believe we do have the Scheidemanns online with us for the presentation. So with that, I will turn things over to Madam Chair and Mr. Mayor to make the presentation. As you do, I believe we're going to pull up a picture of the award that is going to be presented virtually today. And with that, I'll turn things over to you, Madam Chair and Mr. Mayor. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. I'm going to ask the mayor on behalf of the county to make the presentation to the Scheidemann family. It's a very significant award. We are a farming community, and 100 years in agricultural production in Parkland County is what makes Parkland County. It's the basis, the fiber of our being. So with that, Mayor Shagus, if you could formally present the 100-year Agricultural Award presentation to the Shagus, to the Scheidemann family.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it's a great honor to, first of all, welcome Lynn and Harvey Scheidemann to the Committee of the Whole meeting today, and on behalf of Council, to acknowledge and congratulate them for the 100-year Farm Family Award. As you said, Madam Chair, it is a significant recognition of the many generations of the Scheidemann family and other families who have received and been bestowed this great honor of being recognized as a 100-year farm family. So I do want to take the opportunity to just congratulate them, and Councillor McNabb and I will be going to Scheidemann's tomorrow afternoon to formally present them with the plaque. And maybe before we provide the Scheidemann's an opportunity to say a few words, Councillor McNabb, if you have any comments, please proceed.
You know, I wasn't prepared to have any comments, but I really, really appreciate knowing the Scheidemann family since I've been here. And thanks very much for all your hard work in the community. And it's absolutely amazing that we have farmers and people still living on the land 100, 150 years, you know, and it's actually a great honor. Thank you.
With that, I'm going to ask Harvey and Lynn Scheidemann if they had any comments that they would like to offer.
Well, actually, we're going to leave you with B and Harvey here, Phyllis. So we do have B here as well.
Sorry, we weren't able to hear clearly what you were saying. We have some audio problems here. And with that, that's unfortunate. We're not able to have some comments because this is a significant recognition today. And I appreciate that you've taken time to come and join in this part of our agenda today. As the mayor indicated, him and Mr. Councillor McNabb will be visiting your farm tomorrow, visiting with you to present the plaque. So possibly at that time, you'll have your exchange of information. So
Councillor Kabasiak, I believe what I heard was that she did indicate that they have B there as well.
okay, okay.
I believe that is correct. I think I heard that as well. So it's great to have Mrs. Scheidemann here as well to join us. So congratulations to the three of you.
We can hear you now.
Great.
Thank you.
Did you have any comments? Did you have any comments that you would like to offer?
Just that it's been interesting. I had 58 years out there on that farm, and I said to Harv, I thought he'd had pretty well the most time on it, and I wouldn't mention his age at all. But then I realized that Bud had actually been there for 81 of the 100 years, and he just passed last spring. I think 2 days before the 100th anniversary came up. So it's been rewarding to see it done anyway, and certainly appreciate it. It looks like a beautiful plaque. So thank you to all of you for your efforts on it. So, and we'll look forward to seeing somebody in the morning, I guess. Afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Scheidemann. And it is a beautiful plaque. It's a beautiful recognition. And thank you from Committee of Whole for Harvey and Lynn, and for B for attending our Committee of the Whole meeting today. And enjoy the presentation tomorrow. Any
Very
other?
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, that will be handled tomorrow. So our next item, thank you very much, Harvey and Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have a motion that this be received as information. I'll ask for a motion from council.
Madam Chair, it's John McNabb, Councillor Division 5. I'd like to bring forward that motion that the 100-year agricultural award presentation be received for information as presented to the Scheidemann family. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McNabb. Those in favor? And is anyone opposed? Thank you. Okay, with that, we can move to our 5.4 agenda item. I'll ask Ms. Swain if you'd like to introduce this item. It's the appointment with the Multicultural Heritage Center, and the Managing Director, Melissa Hartley, is here to present. So possibly I've done that introduction. If you'd like to
yes.
comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, Melissa Hartley from the Multicultural Heritage Center is here, and she is here to present their annual report. So I will pass it over to Ms. Hartley to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Hartley, and welcome.
And Ms. Hartley, I believe you are on mute, so you may need to just, I think I see you off mute now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I had anticipated having my camera on, but I can't seem to figure that out either. Oh, there we go. Sorry for the high learning curve here. I understand you guys are a little behind schedule, but I'd like to take this time to thank you all for having us. The Multicultural Heritage Center has enjoyed the privilege of your support for some time, and I would like to tell you how much we do appreciate that. You have been provided sort of a slide deck of some of the highlights with some beautiful pictures of the spaces. And rather than bore you going through that, I had thought this morning that I would focus on some of our COVID successes throughout the last year. While we were largely closed to the public in terms of the museum and the art gallery, we have made great strides in having our things done virtually. And while it has had many challenges, it's also had many successes. I have some kind of what some people think may be boring statistics, but that we might find useful to look at in terms of some of the successes we've had in terms of our online presence and what we're doing and the services we're able to provide online. Some of the things that we had focused on online were our electrical safety course and our organic master gardener program. Electrical safety, for instance, we've seen 185 classes virtually. We've done 116 virtual presentations. We've seen more than 5,000 students. We visited 78 schools. We have over 5,500 resources sent out to 87 schools for information about safety. And we put on 13,000 less kilometers. And so we have shrunk our carbon footprint, which is maybe scraping the bottom of the barrel to try and figure out some successes here while we are doing things virtually. Our art gallery also has had national and international recognition in terms of our YouTube channel and the things that we're doing. Trying to find a way to provide these things through the magic of having the art gallery, not even, the pictures aren't even hung in the gallery, but it's filmed as if they are. And so when people attend our online presentations and openings, they feel like they're actually in the building. The filming has been done as if it were in the actual room we have. So we've tried those. Other things that we've focused on, not virtually, have been our grounds improvement. We put on 2 outdoor productions of community theater over the summer, last summer, as a way to try and do COVID safe things that are friendly, COVID friendly and outside. We continue to have lots of success and interest in our community gardens. And I think our biggest success last year was to come in largely due to staff cuts and reorg and some of our new, looking for different grants and trying to stay relevant, has been our financial success. And this is our most point of pride that I have for the most part, that we are able to do this all and we're able to make ourselves solvent after lots of years of coming in the red. So coming in, very healthy financial picture has meant a lot to me. And I just open it up to questions. If people have questions or have specific ideas that they'd like us to implement, I'd be happy to hear any of that.
Okay, with that, we are back on schedule, so we do have some time for discussion. And Melissa, I'd like to thank you very much as our managing director. It's a pleasure for me to be able to serve with Debbie Mills as chair and the rest of the board, working with you to effectively manage Multicultural Center. Like everyone else, it's been difficult during COVID, but things have been very successful. The Multicultural Center board is primarily county member represented at this point in time, and I congratulate you for the financial success. It was very difficult there the last number of years, but be proud that you've been able to turn that around. We've also been able to set operational reserves in place so that if there are issues facing an old building, a heritage building, that we do have some reserves that we can draw on those and that we're not just scrambling and looking for resources at the last minute. So compliments to you for your leadership and working with the board. It's a pleasure to work with you. I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the report as information. I'm going to ask Councillor Melnick if she put that motion forward, please.
Yes, Councillor Melnick, Division 6. I'll put forward the motion that the Multicultural Heritage Centre presentation be received for information as presented.
Okay, thank you. And I will open the floor up for discussion. Councillor Jensen.
Yes, thanks so much. And thank you, Melissa, for your presentation. Just wanted to echo Councillor Kabasiak's words. And I enjoyed my time on the board for many years and certainly sat there where there were some difficult times. So to hear a report, you've been on my mind a lot. That's so positive and adaptive as I knew you would be. I have confidence that the board and yourself and your staff would step up to the challenge. Is really exciting, heartening for me, and wish you all the best in the future, as you're just such an important institution in Stony Plain and for our agricultural community. So thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor. Mayor Chagas, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted, first of all, thank Ms. Hartley for coming in, doing the presentation, and appreciate the time and effort and the focus you put in on maintaining your viability through this difficult time with the pandemic and, with staff cuts and reductions in funding. But as your slideshow presentation did mention, you're doing more with less. And I appreciate your innovation and the thought you put into ensuring that the Multicultural Heritage Center is able to continue to provide the services to residents in the region. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just wondering, Ms. Hartley, if you could just give the committee just a little overview. One of the really successful programs is the Master Gardener program. If you could talk about the affiliation, I think it's the University of Victoria, UBC, that you're involved, and just talk about the enrollment numbers there before we deal with it. It would be of interest to the committee.
Absolutely. The Organic Master Gardener program, is through Gaia College at UBC. And we are one of the only ones in Alberta. Last year, we did half online and half through classes because of restrictions. And this year, we moved to a total online program. We have anywhere from 14 to 24 students normally that can be accommodated in the classroom. And part of their work also involves a significant commitment of volunteer gardening hours, which then are put onto our grounds, which makes, able for everybody to enjoy. This year, because we moved to a complete online format other than the work bees, where they come and socially distance and learn things hands-on and work hands-on on the grounds. This year, we've been able to expand it to 29 students, which wouldn't have been able to accommodate in a classroom. This is an accredited course, so people are given a certificate from UBC. So we pay them for their intellectual property, and we pay the instructors to put it on and provide the service to all these local gardeners, who then usually are throwing their resources and skills back into their communities. So it's been a great success for us. It's something interesting and innovative that we do that no one else offers. And it allows us to focus on all kinds of things on our property, from our fruit trees to our vegetable gardens, to keeping us organic so that we're pesticide free. Nobody sprays here or does anything. Often the volunteer work goes back into the community garden and things like that to help us, stay beautiful and for people to come and visit us. So it's a very successful program for us.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that information. And again, thank you on behalf of the committee for the good work you're doing and the valuable role you play in the community, and that we are proud in Parkland County for what's happening at that center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Melnick put the motion forward to accept your report as information. That motion is on the floor. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Declare a 5-minute recess. We will begin at 10:30 with the Pioneer Museum. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back. I will call our meeting back to order, and I believe we have all members of council present, with the exception of Councillor Hollins. We have appointment at 10:30, and I'd like to welcome the Stony Plain and Pioneer Museum, and I will ask Ms. Swain if she would introduce this agenda item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So our 10:30 a.m. appointment is an update from Stony Plain and Parkland Pioneer Museum. We have 3 guests with us today: Cliff Goers, Roger Peterson, and David Feelhaber. And I will pass it over to our guests to begin their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, Mr. Mayor, fellow councilors and staff. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do a presentation today. Due to COVID, we weren't able to do one last year. So we will be giving you a brief summary of 19, myself, and then Mr. Peterson will give a presentation of 2020. And then our Executive Director, David, will give a report of our goals for 2021. So I'd like to start with 19. I know you did get our 19 report, but just a quick review. We did have 18,000 visitors in 19, which was the pre-COVID. We had over 20,000 hours in volunteer time from approximately 90 volunteers. We had hosted over 1,000 students, 300 of those in the French immersion, which is up from 2018, we had 800 students. And we continued our partnership with Tricala to provide adult learning opportunities. And we had our annual speaker series with the attendance from 18 up by 27% to 217 people. We partnered with the town of Stony Plain on a public art project, providing our blacksmith shop space. We partnered with the town of Stony Plain on a cultural event featuring the town's poet laureate. We had a new partnership with Parkland School Division hosting a cultural education program. We continued to participate in cultural, educational, and social committees in the community and partnering with the municipalities, organizations, and groups for joint events and programs such as Alberta Cultural Days. We continued year-round availability for school groups, senior tours, and the general public. Development of senior tours to encourage visitation and reduce seniors' isolation. Some of the projects that we had completed, we completed and painted the Kinsman Interpretive Center walkway ready for gallery photos. We installed new siding, adding some cement pads and adding a veranda on the Dawn Gray barn. We continued our inventory of collection, which is approximately 95% of our total collection. We built a new International Harvester dealership building, completed 20 individual maintenance programs, and our new website is under construction. Financially, in 19, ongoing aim at long-term financial viability and stability. Town of Stony Plain provided $74,283. Parkland County provided $65,300. Municipal funding is about 60% of our income, and the industry average in Canada is between 66 and 75% for municipal funding. Internally, we had 97,000, food services 31,000, casino 10,000, fundraising and admissions 16,000, private donations 5,600, programs and miscellaneous 10,000, tours and rentals 12,000, and the Government Canada for the Canada Summer Jobs Grant $9,300. So with that, I'll give it to Roger to do the 2020.
Thank you, Cliff. Good morning, everyone. So I'll go over the 2020 program at the Pioneer Museum, and you can appreciate 2020 was anything but normal for us, and we had to learn, adapt to the new regulations and so on put on by Alberta Health Services, and especially look after the health and safety of our staff and volunteers. Some stats for 2020, where Cliff had talked about 20,000 hours of volunteer time. We had about 13,000 hours of volunteer time from approximately 50 volunteers. And I must say that the volunteers have really stepped in to help us this year during some trying times. Where we had 18,000 visitors last year, we had approximately 1,000 visitors, and that was basically during July to November when we were partially open. We had to make some hard decisions, so we had no seasonal staff or summer students hired this year, so volunteers played a key role in keeping the grounds looking good and looking after various activities our seasonal staff would have been involved with. We had a drop of about $70,000 in internally raised funds, and I'll give a little bit more of a breakdown on that a little later. A key thing that, something we're very pleased to see was our model train exhibit, which was finalized by our model train volunteers during the year and was officially opened up, received the 2020 Award of Creative Excellence from the town of Stony Plain. So we're very pleased about that. Because of COVID, our community events, all of them were canceled. And as well, our programs were canceled, such as our education program was canceled. And as I said, the museum was only open from July to November. We participated with the town of Stony Plain on a new tourism plan, which I believe is about to come out or in the very near future, if it hasn't already. From a facility and project standpoint, because we were closed a significant part of the year, we're focused on the development of a facility and exhibits to improve the visitor experience. And a lot of time and focus was put on that. As part of it, we completed a CFEP grant. We had a major CFEP grant that was scheduled to complete in 2020. And we did complete that and submitted the final report in July. As I mentioned, we completed the opening of the model train exhibit, and we completed the Kinsman Interpretive Center walkway with a series of photos that are focused on the history of Parkland County and with some artifacts that support those photos. These are very large size photos that are in the walkway that leads into the Kinsman Interpretive Center and gives you a bit of a perspective of some of the major industries that have been part of Parkland County over the years. The display team installed some very large photo murals in the Kinsman Center to really change the atmosphere of the Kinsman Center and depict historical time periods of the town of Stony Plain on these murals. And I must say, if you have an opportunity to come, please come and have a look at those the murals and the photos in the walkway. They give a good historical perspective of the county and the town. As part of our activities in improving the visitor experience, we wanted to ensure our grounds were in good shape. And so we've completed almost 30 individual maintenance repair projects, which are part of our updating our long-term maintenance schedule and the financial planning for that. So we've been setting up the maintenance projects on a year-by-year basis and identifying the most high priority ones and dealing with them. We had the CNIB review the museum for improving access for visually impaired visitors. Another key activity, because we had canceled our education program, our education committee has been working on developing virtual and remote ways to provide programming. If you remember, we provide programming for grades 2 to 7, or I think it's 2 to 7, and we haven't been able to provide those this year or this last year. So we're working to do that remotely. We began work on the creation of a number of virtual exhibits and a virtual museum tour, trying to attract more visitors and get more interest through being on more, having our online presence much more enhanced. And so work is proceeding on that. We Port Edmonton has been, as many of you know, has been doing some work in changing some of their displays. And as a result of that, we received 5 vehicles and 2 carriages from them later in the year. And these are all operational vehicles. We have them running, and it becomes part of our artifacts that we display here at the museum. From a financial perspective, all our fundraising events were either postponed or canceled. The town of Stoney Plain provided $74,283, and likewise, Parkland County provided the same amount, $74,283, which we're very grateful for to help maintain our operation. We took advantage of a number of COVID-19 related grants federally, and they were really a lifesaver in terms of the wage subsidy, being able to provide a subsidy to support maintaining our core staff at the museum. We also applied for a museum-specific one-time grant that we were successful in getting for $34,000, I believe it was, and that we put into contingency to make sure that we're positioned for the future and have the financial resources going forward, because we're still in COVID. We're not sure where we're going to be at. Our internal revenue that we generated, as I mentioned earlier, was down about $70,000. Of that, we raised about $27,000 carryover from the 2019 casino. Donations made a key part of that. Admissions, of course, were down from the previous year. And memberships and tours and rentals were down as well, but that basically added up to $27,000 for the year. So all in all, it's been a trying year for us for 2020, but we have taken advantage of it to position ourselves going forward. And financially, we were able to maintain our financial viability and take advantage of some of the COVID subsidies that were provided for us. So at that point, I will hand over to David for giving a 2021 perspective.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. Mayor Shagik, welcome back. And it's so nice to see you up and about. I hope that you're feeling well. Just as Clifford and Roger said, last year was quite a challenge, and we don't expect this year to be much different. So far, we don't expect to have any of our community events going. We are only planning for our Harvest Fest and Alberta Culture Days. So we're putting in a crop, and we figure that's probably going to be the soonest that we'll be able to have people on the grounds in any larger numbers. We were just at the beginning of starting to research and develop our virtual programs last year. So it did kind of catch us flat-footed in that regard. But we've done a fair amount of filming with our presenters for our education programs. And we should finish the rest of them probably by midsummer. And with those, we'll be able to provide access for our different education programs through our website. We've also almost finished creating virtual exhibits of some of our collection. So we'll have 5 exhibits that we'll be able to also make live this summer. And we continue to try and prepare for when we'll be able to open, whether that's July, August, or September. Of course, like everyone else, we're not sure. We tried a new fundraising scheme, the online 50-50, which worked out very well for us. We sold out. We just did a test run doing a $5,000 one, And it turned out one of our local supporters won the 50-50 and then turned around and donated the winnings directly back to us. So it was a pretty wonderful beginning of this year after a lot of heartaches. We've received a caboose from Fort Edmonton. As Roger was saying, they're going through a great many changes there. And so we've begun our restoration. We've started stripping it, and so that we can determine exactly how much this is going to cost. So that 50-50 was directly intended to be a fundraiser for that project. This year, we'll continue with that. We have a small barn from the Summers family that we'll be assessing and creating a budget as we figure out exactly how much restoration it's going to need. And some other things that have come up, I'm sure you may have remembered that we had a couple of small documentaries filmed here. Last year, we had a larger one done that was the history of Wap May, the World War I pilot. His son, Denny May, is a friend of the museum here and has done a number of talks at our speaker series. And we were very happy to have them on the grounds filming a good portion of the documentary. And that will be going to the next available film festival, whenever that can be held. Hopefully, I guess it probably won't be held until 22, but we'll keep you all advised on that. Part of that was working with that film crew. We have now been registered as a possible film location site with the Edmonton film industry, which also is sent off to the Alberta film industry and Canadian. And so because of that, we've already had a query from the APTN, also doing a documentary. They were here a few weeks ago doing a scout and looking at the facility. So that's pretty exciting for us. It's a whole new area. And we're hoping that it's not just a way for us to earn a little bit of revenue, but also bring, possibly help to bring in a new industry to the county. One of the other things that we've been working on, I'm sure you all know that we're part of the Alberta Museum Association as a recognized museum. This year we are on the verge of reaching the next level, which is called their leaders status. And so this is a real shot in the arm for us for reaching a lot of that higher level of standards in running the museum and being more professional organization. So we're hoping that, again, by midsummer, we will have completed all of the requirements for that. And we'll be one of two that have applied for it, and either the first or the second in all of Alberta that will have reached that level. As far as financial, again, we deeply appreciate the support we've had from the county and the town. We'll be continuing to apply for grants, and that's what's allowed us to keep both myself and Miriam on staff, has been the federal COVID wage subsidy. And so we will be applying for that as long as we qualify, and continue with all of our projects and preparing for when we can open again. So with that, I'd like to submit our report for information, and if whatever questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comments, David and Cliff and Roger. As I'm just going to switch the order of the motions here. I'm wondering, as Councillor McNabb is the council member on the Pioneer Museum, if you could put that motion forward, and then the next item, if Councillor Jensen would do that next motion, if that's agreeable.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to bring forward that motion.
Okay, that motion is on the floor. Do you have any comments to add? We're just a few minutes late, so we need to move to our next appointment. But if you could add some comments, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I really appreciate being part of the board there. I really appreciate the guys. I know it's interesting, you know, with the COVID, what some places aren't going to survive, some places are, but you know, the Pioneer Museum's doing their best to survive this. You know, and there's other things going on. There's TransAlta is linked now with Pioneer Museum in regards to coal artifacts coming in. So there's a whole new plan going there, which directly Parkland County also. So there's a lot going on. Just that too bad COVID's in our world, and there's a lot of places that probably aren't going to survive. But I do believe the museum's in a good position to get through all these issues, as other organizations are. But obviously, they need a whole bunch of help to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor McNabb, for putting that motion forward. Thank you again to the Pioneer Museum. Parkland County is a proud partner, and we appreciate the work that you do and the significant role that you play for the pioneers and bringing that through a museum lens for our community. Thank you very much for your presentation today. And just to keep on schedule, if the council doesn't mind, we have the report as information. So I will ask those, any opposed to Councillor McNabb's motion to receive his information. Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Bye. The next item on our agenda is Parkland Turning Points. Ms. Swain, if you could introduce that item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So please welcome Sandy Olson from Parkland Turning Point Society, and she is here to provide an update about the society. Thank you, Ms. Olson.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome, Sandy.
I'm not sure how to put my my picture on the screen here.
Sandy, if you have a start video.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
thank you.
Good. Well, thank you, everyone. And my report or my presentation won't take too long. However, I'll just get started quickly. We've been operating in the area now, I think, since 2005, and we continue to offer our core programs, which is helping people who are impacted by family violence. And the organization started offering separate groups for men and women to help them to learn how to be in healthy relationships. We now offer individual counseling as well. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of what we offer to make things a little bit more clear. So twice a year, we offer these group sessions. For the women, we offer phase 1, which they start dealing with more where they're at presently in their relationships, intimate partner relationships. And if they've completed phase 1, then we offer annually a phase 2. And sometimes in those sessions, we go back into their history, in their childhood family situations, and move forward from there. We also offer 2 men's group, individual, like separately from the women. A lot of these men come from probation as well. And however, we accept men through the internet. Sometimes they find us, sometimes their women have come through our programs and you know, recommend that they come to our groups. And then we also offer, which is fairly new, maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, what we call the female offender transitions group. Because sometimes when the RCMP were going out to their calls, they would see that they didn't know who to charge because both partners were fighting, I guess. And so now sometimes those women are being charged. And so now we have a program for the female offenders as well to learn how to control their emotions and such. sometimes there's a wait period in between the group sessions. Okay, so that's where we offer the individual counseling for them while they're waiting, so that they're still getting their needs met until the next group starts. But there's also some people who aren't able to attend in a group setting, so they will just continue doing individual counseling. We have psychologists on staff and social workers on staff. In the groups, there's always 2 facilitators, just in case something happens during group. If one of the clients has to be removed, then somebody else is still there to attend with the group. So with COVID this last year, it started out okay, but then come last March, things kind of broke up. And so some people were fearful, of course, of being in a group setting. So we started offering the clients either one-on-one, safely distanced, and or telephone calls and or video calls. And what that did was it cost a little bit more money, because when we're paying the facilitators and having more people in the group, then it uses our dollars better, I think. However, the Canadian Women's Foundation, they did offer a grant for people who were impacted by the COVID. So we did get $25,000 from them, which was great. A lot of our fundraising and our donators, like St. Andrew's Thrift Store, for example, because they were closed too, so we didn't get money from them last year, which sometimes we get about $10,000. And then even Border Paving, like we didn't get our donation from them, so I don't know, no explanation. We used to just get a nice check in the mail, but we didn't this year, so I think it's because of COVID as well. So now moving forward, I'm thinking, because of course we're all wondering how long this is going to last. So now, in regards to we can do these Zoom group meetings, I guess, but now that has an added cost. But one suggestion I got from the provincial government was sometimes smaller agencies, sometimes they share the cost amongst each other, because you have so many, like let's say you have 10 abilities to make these calls, but maybe the small agencies aren't using the 10. So I'm going to look at that. So on another note, I just want to share some exciting news. We did get recognized by the provincial government, and now they're funding us, and their grant covers the offenders, the male and the female offenders portion of our programs, which is good because now we're even recognized on the provincial list. And so all probation officers, they can only refer clients that are on this list. And so it's very good for us to be local here in our community, so that the people don't have to drive all the way back into Edmonton to access these programs and services. Sometimes people might work in those areas, but then on their way home, they can come to our sessions. All the groups are in the evenings, and we also offer some individual counseling during the daytime and evenings as well, to accommodate people's different needs. So the funding that we're applying for through the County of Parkland would be going towards the women, like the victim. We mostly get, I say women because mostly our victims are the women at this time. We might have like 3 male victims annually, and they are seen individually as well. What else can I tell you? Oh, we do offer very limited family counseling. This is, let's say there's some women in our group and they're feeling that their children are needing some counseling. We do offer that as well. So we consider that family counseling, because it's not just, where they're seeing just the child. The child might be seen individually, but then the parent is also incorporated into that. So, yeah. I do have an outline about, you may be interested about the phase 1 women's group. Like we always talk about the cycle of abuse, the myths and realities about abuse, boundaries, communication skills, self-esteem, and setting goals. I don't think I have really anything else to share. I would be interested if you have any questions to answer any of your questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Sandy. Appreciate that information. I want to congratulate you. Obviously, you have a program of merit that's being recognized by the provincial government to help offenders and a need in the community. And often people who live in a rural community just don't attend those types of servicing because there is a distance in travel. Vehicle acts, they don't have vehicles sometimes, and they're isolated in the community. So congratulations for that recognition. Quality of program that you offer and that you're able to offer that in a rural setting. That's exemplary. I'm going to ask Councillor Jensen if she would put the motion forward to receive your report as information and ask if she has any comments. Go ahead, Councillor Jensen. She has trouble sometimes with audio or freezing.
It's looking like she's frozen. Okay, well, hold, Councillor Jensen. I see you back on the screen. We'll hold the motion to approve the report as received as information. In the meantime, I'll just open it up to questions or comments from committee members. Councillor Melnick. Thank you. So in the last reports or previous report we had from the RCMP, it was evident that they'd indicated that a lot of our individuals are facing spousal abuse as a result of COVID, indicating probably is spending a little more time. Are you finding that you're getting some new clients as a result?
We're not on too much of a roll because we haven't filled out the one. So when we do that.
Sorry, the last part of the question I didn't hear. Are we finding that we're getting more new clients?
Yeah, as a result of the COVID.
I'm not really sure if we're getting more new clients because I can't, we just get an ongoing referral. So I'm not really sure if it's due to COVID or not. And because I'm not doing the therapy, so I'm not really sure what their stories are. Like, I'm just receiving the referrals as such. But one thing I did forget to mention a little bit earlier in regards to the provincial funding, a new thing, we were able to hire a person to do partner safety checks. So what's exciting about that is while the offender is in session, then we can have somebody who's making the calls to the victim, and if they're willing to share. And so there's some accountability back and forth that way so that the offender knows that that's going to be happening. And so to make sure that they're, living some of the change that they're being taught, I guess. I'm just really happy that we have this program here in our community because I really do care about families. So, yeah.
Well, you're the right person for the job because it is in the community. Councillor Jensen, I see you're back. If you could put the motion forward and I'll open it up if you have comments or questions.
Hi, Councillor Kowalczyk. Sorry. I'll make the motion that Parkland Turning Point Society presentation be received for information as presented.
Any comments or questions you'd like to offer? Okay. With that, that motion is on the floor. Anyone else from the committee, questions or comments? With that, Sandy, I want to thank you very much. As Councillor Melnick indicated, that we did have a report from the RCMP and we hear about mental health impacts and family violence issues coming out of our COVID experience here, continuing into the second year. So appreciate the service and the backstop that you offer and support for communities and families and individuals as well. So it's a needed service. And I certainly appreciate on behalf of Parkland County the work that you're doing. Thank you for your day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Motion on the floor. Any other comments or questions? Any opposition to the motion? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. You have a good day, Sandy. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. We move to our next item on our agenda, 5.7. We have an appointment regarding the rec facility project in Devon. Ms. Swain, I'll open that for you to provide an introduction.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So please welcome our Town of Devon guests, Tony Kobiski and Paresh Daria, and they are here to provide a recreation project update. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for the Town of Devon to provide all of you with an update on the project. Paresh is our project lead, and he'll take you through a couple of slides here that have been presented to our council with respect to updates that our architectural group and engineering group have worked on. Basically, that encompasses all the user groups and all the inputs that we've received thus far. And then I just wanted to have some concluding remarks in terms of some of the observations we're seeing with this very complicated project when we're working with the higher orders of government. So I'll turn it over to Paresh, and Paresh can walk you through what we've seen with our own council.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. Paresh, if you'd like to continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship, member of councils and county administration for giving us opportunity to present or to give you updates on this complicated project, as Tony mentioned. Please, next slide. So this is a very high-level project charter for this project, which we have shared with our council and with the town residents. Tony Kobliski, he's our CAO and overall in charge of this project. Myself, Paresh Daria, I'm overall responsible for engineering and architectural services and overall construction of this project. We have communication coordinator, we have economic development officers who are responsible for their areas, and our Alvin Alim is our general manager, he's our finance person. Next slide, please. Just most of you probably are familiar with the location, but I thought I will put this slide to give you a location of the project, which is current location of existing Dale Fisher Arena is east of our Devon Community Center. And there's a parking lot, and east of that is our Devon outdoor pool. We are proposing to build a second ice sheet between current Dale Fisher Arena and Devon outdoor pool, and then we wanted to enclose our outdoor pool. Next slide, please. So over the last couple of months, we have made many user groups who uses these facilities. I would say we must have made about 200 people in our community and surrounding communities to get feedback on this project. This is summary of our 2 months consultation. And to further summarize this summary, I would say what we heard from our user groups is that they wanted some additional features at our outdoor pool, like tot pool and hot tub. They wanted running track, and they wanted some multi-purpose room, and they wanted this facility to be enclosed. We will be working with your administration, and we will be talking to any other user groups your administration ask us to communicate, but that's something will happen down the road. Next slide, please. So the core project elements are the new ice sheet with about 200 to 300 seat capacity. As I mentioned earlier, pool, we wanted to enclose it. Running track was well popular with all user groups, and they all have supported it, including schools in the community. And dedicated NACS program space. NACS is contributing capital dollars to go towards this project and has some ask, which we will have to meet. Then secondary project elements are multi-purpose rooms and lease space opportunities. So this is a very overall and very high level conceptual drawings, which we will be proceeding for construction if everything goes by our plans with our council. As I mentioned, the gray area is current ice sheet with the sitting capacity. Then on east side of that, we will be building new ice sheet with 4 change rooms. And the north side of that proposed location will be dedicated space for NACS for their office and dedicated change rooms. The pool will be enclosed. We will be building new features like a tod pool and hot tub on north side of the existing pool. And on your right hand side is the first floor of this new ice sheet, the running track and some lease space opportunities. And we will be installing elevator. Next slide, please. So this is an air view of this proposed facility, the parking space, and how the new facility will look like. Next slide, please. So as Tony mentioned earlier, there are some there's challenges, there are some risks. This project is on very tight budget line, and Tony will get into it after my presentation. So what we have we have done same presentation to our council, and we will be going back to our council this Thursday during committee of whole meeting, and we'll be seeking our council's direction to allow administration to proceed with construction management procurement way to do this project. The way our consultant has advised us that if we take that route, it will minimize risk and give us more certainty on cost, and we will be delivering this project on time. Next slide. And I think, Tony, that's you.
Okay. So I'll just pick up where Paresh left off. So basically, when we put this project application forward, and when we actually first spoke to Parkland County Council, the project estimate was about $18.3 million for the project. We had to pretty much, we were straight armed by the province to use all of our available MSI dollars towards this project, which was 6.1 million, which then allowed us to get from the federal government 7.2 million. So all along, we've known that we've had to borrow around 3.6 million of our own money on top of our MSI commitment towards this project. When we met with the consultant design team, and the reason why we're moving towards a construction management approach is that they were giving us their guesstimates where anywhere could be between 18.3 and $21 million. And like we go, whoa, that's a big wide range. And so we need to get better cost certainty on certainly this project, because if it goes out to tender and comes in at 21 million, we probably won't go forward with the project. And because of our wastewater and water treatment plant upgrades we've done over the past couple of years, it's really had an impact on our borrowing ability. And what we're finding out with the province is that as much as we've had some advanced funds sent to us on the MSI side, there's 2 consecutive years where we're going to have to do some intern borrowing to make up that difference on the 2 years of MSI dollars that are not going to become available to us. And the federal government money, they basically pay on a quarterly basis, and it's 40% of the total invoice. We'll at the end of the project, we'll get the total 7.1 million. But the impact on us as the local municipality is that we have to actually cash flow this project. And so it has an impact on how we're actually going to move the money around, so to speak. So I guess that what I'm trying to flag to Parkland County Council is, I know you guys have committed to a $1 million contribution over a 5-year period. And we made that ask not knowing what the federal government guidelines were going to be. And so what we're looking for is to see if there's any opportunity for Parkland County to either increase your contribution to 1.5, if that's not too much to ask, or if you're able to help us with the cash flow during the construction of the actual project, which would, if we're out to tender for 2021, it'd be into 2021, 2022, and 2023 type of thing. because getting the funding after the fact is not going to help us. Getting the money while we're actually in construction will help with the cash flow piece. So that's really what I wanted to just finish with, to see if there's an opportunity. And we can follow up with some formal work with your administration to show our cash flow, to see what we're seeing and how these higher orders of government guidelines are having an impact on our ability to cash flow the project. At the end of the day, the money is there for the project. It's just cash flowing it so that we can actually pay the bills when the contractors start submitting their invoices. But that's pretty much the update. We've got a couple of meetings, like Paresh said, with our own council to see where they want to go with this. But we're hoping that we can at least get to a construction management approach, get some real numbers in the hopper here. And then if we go out to tender, that we're not that far off in terms of what the project estimate actually really is, and not some guesstimate that we think it's going to be here, because cost certainty definitely has an impact on what we are end up doing. And at the end of the day, then it comes back to our council, and if that number is still it's not happy times in terms of where we want it to be at, then council will have to make a decision if we're actually moving forward with it, because we're not going to bankrupt the town just to put together a rec complex. We have to live within our means, and so that's really the update to Parkland County. We're open to questions.
Thank you very much, Tony and Parkish Parish for those comments. I'm going to ask for a motion to receive the presentation as information to start, and then I'll open it to comments. A member of council willing to put that motion forward, the update be received as information?
Councillor Kubasiak, Chair Kubasiak, I'll put forward the motion that the Town of Devon Recreation Facility Project Update presentation be received for information as presented. And if I may, I do have a comment.
Go ahead, Councillor Melnick.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Just wanted to say that we appreciate being updated. I'm sure that all of the conversations is going back through the administration, which is the appropriate channel at this point, and then we'll get recommendations made to us from our administration as well. So thank you very much.
Comments from members of the committee? Mayor Chagas?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you both for coming in and making the presentation today, and certainly a very challenging time to undertake any construction projects, particularly with the cost of a lot of the building materials. Obviously, I think we've seen significant downturn in the economy, and you think you'd get better pricing for the labor component, but now we're faced with this curveball, if you will. And certainly appreciate and understand. I know on one of the external bodies that I sit on, funding and cash flow is a challenge. I mean, Tony, you talked about the money is there, there's certainty, but it's the receipt of those payments from either the federal or the provincial government, or both in many cases. And the borrowing capabilities or capacities, I know with the Water Commission, we're restricted to the amount of money we can borrow. So it's put us in some difficult positions, and we're going back to the province currently and asking for certainty and some of those funds be released so we can enable the completion of a project that we're working on. So appreciate the opportunity and to get more information. So when you have an opportunity to provide that to our administration, I'm sure it'll come forward for council for consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. Tony and Christian Council will be looking forward to getting that follow-up for discussion. Thank you. So with that, the motion is on the floor. Councillor Melnick moves to receive his information. Any opposed to the motion? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Lane, our next item on our agenda, item B1, is the Council committee work plans. We have the Ag Services Board, the Community Services Committee, and Economic Diversification Committee. And I'll just turn that over to you, how you'd like to proceed with that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have Dave Cross, General Manager of Agriculture, Community and Protective Services, and he has support from Robert Fernandez, who is our Director of Economic Diversification, and Barb Shackle-Hardman, who's our Director of Agriculture Services. So I will pass it over to the group to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Swain. Get the presentation up here for you this morning. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. We're here before you this morning to share with you proposed revisions to the Council Committee's work plan deliverables for the next year for the Ag Services Board, Community Sustainability Committee, and Economic Diversification Committee. The deliverables are, of course, the pieces of work that the committees will undertake and focus on to support and assist Council in achieving the goals set out in Council's strategic plan. We'll highlight each of the proposed deliverables for the committees today and certainly welcome any feedback or guidance that the committee may have for us prior to this coming back to Council for approval. Just a little background for you before we get into things. The committees did some great work earlier this year reviewing and brainstorming on items for Council's consideration. These ideas were shared with Council for initial feedback as part of Council's strategic planning process. And the feedback from Council at that time was shared with the committees, and that's incorporated in the drafts before you today. With me this morning, as Ms. Swain alluded to, is Barb Shackle-Hardman, our Director of Agricultural Services, and Robert Fernandez, our Director of Economic Diversification. They're going to help me with the presentation today. And with that, we'll run into the Ag Services Board first with Ms. Shackle-Hardman, then Community Sustainability Committee with myself, and we'll close out with Mr. Fernandez and Economic Diversification. So with that, I'll turn things over to you, Barb. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. So as Dave mentioned, the Agricultural Services Board has also a legislative responsibility under the Ag Service Board Act, as well as supporting the Parkland County Strategic Plan. Under the Ag Service Board Act, there's several functions that the board has. One is acting as advisory body and assist council and the Minister of Agriculture in matters of mutual concern. They act as an appeal function under the Weed Control Act, Soil Conservation, and the Ag Pests Act, and also provide advice on weed and pest control programs within the county. They also assist in the control of animal disease under the Animal Health Act. They promote and enhance the viability of sustainable agriculture with a view to improving the economic viability of agriculture producers and promote and develop agricultural policies in Parkland County. So with that, their deliverables of their work plan are designed to help support those overall objectives and legislative requirements under the Ag Service Board Act. So in terms of the deliverables for this year, there are some that are remaining that they're kind of ongoing deliverables that the board has. First one, again, is providing input on regional and provincial agriculture policy. This past year, actually, the Parkland County put forward a resolution to the regional and provincial conferences regarding a matter of concern for local producers around farm safe seed, which was passed at the provincial conference. So they continue to be not just participating, but actively putting forward issues around policy changes that are of importance to Parkland County farmers. As part of the Ag Services Program and Services Review, there's still a couple of items from that review that we're going to continue working on around disposal and recycling of the ag plastics, as well as continuing to improve communication with our producers. We did finish up, Council heard the report on the small agricultural holdings a couple of weeks ago, and prior to going to Council, the Ag Service Board did review that study and provided input on that. There's a number of area structure plans, land use bylaws, and other policies that county is working on that the Ag Service Board provides input on, some of those being the Atchison Industrial Area Structure Plan, Animal Control Bylaw, and if there's any other land use bylaw changes that are going to be made. They've also provided advice to RAMP as required. A number of the Ag Service Board members participated in the first round of consultation on the RAMP policy, and will be hopefully be able to bring that to them in June to provide further update or input into the RAMP process. As I mentioned, one of their functions is around conducting appeal hearings under the various acts, and our legislative services team have done a great job of putting together packages and training for the board. So if in the event that we do have an appeal, they'll be ready to go with that. They also did review the work plan and have provided some additional suggestions for council's consideration, which we'll be talking about here. They also will deal with emergent items from council. So if council does have issues that they want the board to look at, they are certainly open to do that. We're extremely optimistic that by November we'll be able to host our annual producer dinner. We were unable to do it last year, but we're hoping by November we'll be able to actually meet in person and have that producer dinner and connect with our farmers. In addition, the ag policy that was put forward last year, they continue to review any policies that are going to council that do have impacts on agriculture. They also select our bursary winners and our Farm Family Award recipients that goes into Northlands. They've also, in addition to this year, have requested to provide some advice on rural internet, and not just from a home-based business, but also the impact that rural internet has on agriculture production systems. And as we're getting more heavily involved with technology and in agriculture, there's some unique needs. So have been doing a bit of work on that. Also looking at, they've been providing excellent advice and feedback to administration on weed control programs and options for working with our farmers. The other issue that has come up for Parkland County farmers is the application of the federal carbon tax and its impact on viability of farms, especially with things like grain drying and other fuel costs that are getting charged. And so they're continuing and wanting to continue to advocate for relief from some of those burdens on carbon tax. So as we get closer to the provincial conference and see how things develop on the federal side, we'll maybe putting forward a resolution there. And then they also are very interested in the local food industry and any ways that council can provide support to that local food industry within Parkland County. So that's the work plan for the Agricultural Services Board. It's very aggressive, but we have an excellent board and they are very keen, and they've got a lot of really good minds around the table to tackle this work plan.
Great, thanks, Ms. Shackle-Hardman. Maybe we'll just pause there, and if the committee has any questions on any of the pieces of the ASB deliverables, they can fire away. Thanks.
Okay, questions from the committee? Mayor Shaggis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question, just a comment. And Ms. Shackle-Hardman, you spoke about the input that not only the Ag Service Board, but some of our producers were able to provide the EMRB through the RAMP initiative. And just to let you know, yesterday we did have the RAMP meeting, and the second round of consultation will begin this March. So EMRB administration will be reaching out to all the municipalities that have representation on the task force. That includes, of course, the 4 rural municipalities and the 3 urban centers as well. So we're hoping to get some reassurance or confirmation of the policy direction from the first round of stakeholder engagement. And I do need to applaud and recognize Ms. Shackle-Hardman, because she was identified by EMRB administration for her efforts in getting the word out in Parkland County and having a fairly strong representation of agriculture producers provide feedback. So thank you for that to you and your team.
And yeah, we heard it yesterday on that. Timing, of course, is not ideal. So we may be having to make some phone calls to people on tractors. So.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, we'll move on with the Community Sustainability Committee. So the purpose of the Community Sustainability Committee focuses primarily in the healthy communities and environmental areas of Council's strategic plan. So much of the work being done in these areas comes to the committee through the Planning and Development Division, Community Services Division, and Community Sustainability areas. and where the committee provides advice and feedback on various projects and programs and activities being undertaken by administration to achieve those goals in council strategic plan. So we can move on to the next slide, please. Thanks. So in terms of the current work plan, there are a few items similar in fashion to the ASB that will be continuing on, be standing items for us. I'll just highlight some of these for you before we move on to the new ones. Municipal development plan. If changes come up, the committee will of course provide feedback and advice around those. And the only thing kind of on the radar could be some changes in relation to Wabamun. In terms of the land use bylaw refresh, again, same thing. If items do come up, amendments are proposed, they come to the committee. One that's on the radar right now for this year is work being done in Atchison ASP that the committee may be providing some advice on the planning. Parks, Recreation and Culture Master Plan implementation. That plan was done and adopted by council, so we'll remove that piece of work. In terms of the integrated community sustainability plan, reporting framework and targets, that's on our radar to get at this year. And of course, the committee has been involved in the ICSP extensively over the past few years, and will certainly be involved in this piece of work as well. Lake Wabamun stewardship implementation, we're removing this item as there's no work currently on the go over the next year or so. One piece that is on the go from it is our Southside boat launch, which is currently being tendered. It'll be constructed this year, hopefully. Social development plan, that plan was accepted by council a while ago. Work did start on an implementation plan for council's consideration. That was paused due to a few things. We went through an organizational restructure, COVID hit, as well as the tri-regional plan is underway, and social development strategy is one of those pieces. So we're waiting to see what comes from that, what potential impacts it might have on our implementation plan. But that plan will be coming to committee for their feedback and advice prior to it coming to council for decision, direction and decision. We're also reviewing the environmental policy. Hamlet strategy is also ongoing. Bylaw work right now relates to the only adjustment that the committee's provided feedback on, and likely will again here in a bit, is around chickens on parcels of land less than 2 acres. Community Services is looking at doing a fulsome bylaw review next year, and the committee will be heavily involved in that piece of work, both with the public engagement piece as well as contributing to the content on those bylaws as well. Next slide, please. So a few of the additional items that the committee is proposing adding into the work plan. One is that the not-for-profit funding program, the committee was involved last year for the first time in the adjudication and recommendations for awards with this program. And it was of great benefit to both administration as council, as it made things much more efficient and easier for us. And they're looking to do that piece of work again for us. The committee is also interested in learning more about our waste management program, as well as what we're doing in terms of rural connectivity. To provide some feedback and advice on what we're currently doing, and maybe provide some thoughts on future opportunities that might want to be considered by Parkland County in those areas. Public safety and crime, of course, we heard a good report this morning from the RCMP, as well as from our resident there at Moonlight Bay, that crime is a concern in the municipality. Our enforcement services folks are working on a few things, and they're going to be coming to the Community Sustainability Committee to share what we're currently doing and get some feedback on where we're at and where we want to go around those things. And the last piece that was added in here is around community connections. And as we all know, during COVID, it's been challenging keeping connected with folks. And the committee is interested in chatting a bit more about this and whether or not we as a municipality have a role to play or things that we can do to foster and support connections and continue to build that sense of community in the virtual world that we're living in right now. So that concludes the Sustainability Committee portion. Certainly answer any questions or take any advice or comments from committee at this time. Thanks. Okay, not hearing any, we'll move on to Mr. Fernandez and the Economic Diversification Committee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cross, and to the committee, members and council. the update from the Economic Diversification Committee. Again, the committee is in place to provide long-term strategic advice on how to diversify the economy. So rather than getting involved in operational projects and opportunities, really taking the long view, the long term on what is possible and what needs to happen in the county. Next slide, please. As to the work plan, so the committee has just reappointed membership last month, and we have the same members that were on the committee reaffirmed. It's a very good group now, very diverse group that has started to collaborate with the other advisory committees as well, and beginning to make cross references on the work that is happening in the different areas. Again, with the look on strategic focus and priority, committee is always looking at the top 5 identified opportunities to make sure the focus is right in the big picture. They continue to provide advice and feedback on our general ability to provide customer service and respond in a customer-friendly way to external stakeholders. When it comes to Hamlet reinvestment strategy, the committee looks at it from a economic diversification perspective, because a vibrant economy is certainly vital and an important part of any Hamlet activation or Hamlet reinvigoration strategy. Also on value-added agriculture, the committee is again cross-referencing with the Ag Services Committee and exchanging information there to understand to ensure that where we can and where we have the ability to do so as the county or even with our neighboring counties, we take advantage of value-added agriculture opportunities or other type of investment opportunities that emerge in that sector. Two new, obviously the work plan went to council and the committee considered the feedback and implemented 2 changes to the work plan, which you see in red. The first addition the committee took on was to provide support and advice around the future development of the whole Meridian Business Park area. Again, it's a large strategic approach, and the committee is very well positioned to provide, some guidance and some insight there. And the second added piece is around the Wabamun integration. So future development, future visioning of how the lakes area could evolve, could develop, again, in a long-term and strategic focus that will ultimately contribute to a new and altered and modified economic base. That concludes the update. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, with that, appreciate the comments that were provided. Robert, thank you, and to Barb and to Dave for those updates on those committees. There's a lot of continuity in the committees, and the information they're tackling in a more strategic fashion is certainly more helpful to council. And these work plans are part of the dialogue and the understanding between what's happening at the advisory level and the input that will be coming to council in terms of our strategic planning as an overall organization. So it's an integrated approach, and certainly one that we're starting to see benefits of as we're moving along with the input and the certainly the assistance of staff in helping an understanding. So with that, comments or questions from the committee, or I would look for a motion to approve work plan information that was presented as information to council. Mayor Chagas, did you want to move that motion?
Sure, I'll put the first motion forward, and that's the motion is that the 2021-2022 work plan presentation for the Agricultural Service Board, the Community Sustainability Committee, and the Economic Diversification Committee be accepted for information as presented. And if I could put a question out, so much is being made now in the global community about taking a holistic approach and viewing things through a sustainability lens and giving consideration to the societal impacts of that organizations have, both private and public organizations. So I'm speaking specifically to ESG, or the environmental, social, and governance aspects. And I'm wondering how that, or will there be consideration given to that? We're seeing a lot of investment firms, when they're making those decisions, they're asking those types of questions. And so it's in the consciousness of the business community, the investment community, and I'd say society as a whole. So how is that being considered and blended into the three committees? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to through to Mayor Chagas, and certainly look for Ms. Shako-Harbin or Mr. Fernandez to contribute as well. From the community sustainability perspective, community sustainability is high on the agenda. When we did the brainstorming earlier this year, that was definitely one of the strongest themes of the committee that they're most interested in. So from that perspective, the integrated community sustainability plan reporting frameworks and measures is an important piece of work the committee wants to bite into. We've just spent some decent amount of time with Ms. Shako-Hardman and Ms. Cannell on the environmental policy that'll be coming forward to Committee of the Whole here in the future. So it is on the radar, and they are keeping it top of mind from the sustainability perspective with this committee. But I'll turn things over to Ms. Shako-Hardman and Mr. Fernandez for what they want to contribute from their side of things. So thanks.
Yes, and I think, that is one of the mandates from under the Ag Service Board Act for the Service Board, is to look at all of those sustainable issues. So in agriculture, I think is one of those industries where if you don't have all three of those pieces, right, the social, the environmental, and the economic, you don't have an industry. And so I think when we're looking at all of our issues and all of the items on the work plan, that they are looking at all of those issues including like things like with their working with RAMP and looking at how to balance out the economic development needs of the municipality with maintaining land base for production and how that impacts on society. And so I think all of these issues that they're looking at, they do take that lens of having those, we call it that three-tiered stool, that you can't give up one aspect without sacrificing something on the other. So I do think that the board is very good at in the context of all of the issues and areas that they're looking at, is looking at those three components to sustainability.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Shako-Hardman and Mr. Cross. From the Economic Diversification Committee perspective, ESG is definitely in the midpoint and in the focus of the work the committee members are looking in, and the rationale was given by you, Mayor, in your question, because there is a lot of investment money that is specifically targeting and looking for ESG type or ESG conducive investments, environmental, sustainable, and governance leadership. So without going into details that cannot publicly be revealed, but some of the documentations you have received in council on the investment ideas and investment proposals around Meridian Business Park are 100% tailored, for example, towards ESG investments. So those could be things that incorporate alternative energy investments, alternative sustainable production investments, agricultural type investments that combine, solar and those type of energy sourcing with agricultural technology. So very much front and center for that committee.
Okay, Councillor Melnick.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to the point in that council appoints the committee members. I guess that and we've always looked to seek to have a balance of perspectives around the table. We need a balance in order to have a very productive Parkland County and a Parkland County that fits all of us in and around for the short term, medium term, and long term of Parkland County. So I think that in the long run, it lies down with us and making sure that we continue to keep a balance of perspectives on our committees. Thanks.
Any other comments? No, again, good work with the committees and liaison. Just as an example from my experience with Dave bringing forward the blue sky approach to the Community Sustainability Committee. They were quite excited with that and boundary free and bringing their own experience from the community level and their business level to the discussion was quite invigorating for the group, and they did enjoy that. I think they, as the past chair of the Community Sustainability Committee noted in his final comments, he said, we could be used more. There is more expertise at the committee, and we want to be used more, and we certainly, can bring that benefit to Parkland. So I think that was pretty fruitful, and that committee, once you open the door to that, that's the kind of mindset that's going to develop there. So that was a good exercise. I know the committee members enjoyed it, and Councillor Melnick and I at Community Sustainability did as well. With that, I appreciate the updates and the comments on the work plan, and Mayor Chagas has put forward a motion to receive as information. Thank you to Robert and Dave and Barb for your work here. Any motion is on the floor. Any objection to the motion? Seeing none, that motion is carried. Thank you very much. And with that, I believe that takes us to our agenda today.
Councillor Chair Kabasic, we have a second motion if you'd like me to put that one forward.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll put forward the motion that administration be directed to present the proposed council committee work plan to council for consideration and decision.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, any objection to that motion? That motion is carried. Thank you. So with that, Ms. Wayne, any other comments at this point?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No other comments from me at this point.
Okay, I believe that completes our agenda today. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for your input and for all the presentations that we had today. That was a very streamlined approach, and I know staff worked hard to make it so. Thank you. Everyone enjoy your day. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.